If I was to sum up the meaning and purpose of my life's work, I could do it double de quick without any hesitation. I know for a fact what the meaning of my work is. The meaning of my work is protecting a child named Jimmy Crary from an executive fascist hysteric named Robert Fripp. If you read what happened and look at what Greg Carl leered was the myriad of surface details leading to the fundamental themes, you'll find that the fundamental theme is Louis Lapham's admiration for a forgery. These are people who scribble and deface and say it's renovation. It doesn't take much, really, to abuse and manipulate a child who's frightened and under your control and has nowhere to turn. But let's look briefly at the overdubbers who've actually worked with Disney in providing voices for things like the cartoon Mullen. And the admittedly conscious intent to use sacrificialism. In other words, rights are no consideration whatsoever. Brainwashing isn't even a debate. They used a neurological implant. They went beyond brainwashing. They used involuntary neurological control, hypnosis. And they bragged about it. Palazzo bragged of neurohypnosis being used in his community like it was a laugh. Who were these people? Attica State Prison psychiatrists, the Beatles, and Yoko Ono cackling. And these people want to terrorize the memory of a boy who turned to them for help, not realizing they were the ones who were tormenting him, so that they can wow everybody, look, he forgives us, because we will never forgive him for something that didn't even happen, that I had no blame in, on behalf of the people who, if it did hit, or if it had happened, would have been the perpetrators. If that's not criminally insane enough for you, I don't know what is. And they say it by evoking Ayn Rand as a justification for what she detested, she called comprachios, because they're picking gold pieces to anoint their chosen felons with. The horrors that they subjected me to, both real and imagined, deface the entire history of modern America so badly that not one of the so-called journalists has risen above the status of sub-cowardly enough to write to me, except Martha Gellhorn, who addressed the issue with me once when she was in her 80s, which they took from me, of course, because Yoko Ono won't have it. She won't have it said that a timid, battered, traumatized child was afraid. She wants the fear to be guilt, held hostage, unconscious, tortured, because she wants to play the Madame of Spy Cam Peep for Sotheby's. The rabid Peter Gabriel put up in a marquee, Montana, when Martha Gellhorn wrote to me, commenting on what she saw as my great sense of urgency. You know, you would have to respect Martha Gellhorn. Not everybody does, apparently, to appreciate her judgment. And he puts up in marquee, crimes are misdemeanors. And he sends me this thing, Montana. Hope I spelled that correctly, because he's into bond. It's Linda Montana with somebody who bonded herself to somebody as an art statement. Geiger or Tyler told me about it. So this criminally insane fascist wanted to bondage me to the people who tortured me as a child so he could play Mickey Chop's Warriors, collecting for the socialists as a satire about the use of women in pornography after the AIDS genocide on behalf of the people who did it. So everybody would say, cheer, it didn't happen that way. John Lennon really died. Amen. God help us. Jesus, amen. Throw all your money in the lot with the people who did it and sacrifice the child. And they think that the issue is me making off with money. Okay. They're saying if you don't give the money to the people who did it, then you're one of the people who did it. Well, that's for the dialectical saps in the madhouse of Seattle and Pittsburgh to chew the carpet about. If money gets put in my name, it goes into my savings account. That's the end of it. And there's not going to be any discussion any further with any of those suckheads about it. If it doesn't, money doesn't come to me in my name, it doesn't go into my savings account. Is that against the law? That is the law, I thought. If money goes into your name, you can put it in your savings account. Until that changes, that's what's going to happen. That's the bottom line. And I'm not going to promise the people who committed a horrifying genocide that I'm going to pay money from my pocket for something that didn't even happen to justify the celebrity worship of true cruelty and murder and mayhem. And don't slander me as saying I called them suckers. I called them suckers. It's just a pronoun. Now, if you look at what these murderers are up to, you can look around my house. There may be interest in me from people who are valuable. That's not my fault. Some of these people are welcome to address me, and I look to address people generally. But you will see that there's not a great deal of wealth being represented by the Section 8 House. It is true that the crime that they committed, normally, the person who was being victimized would be rewarded. Somehow, the psychopaths in academics tied a tourniquet around the whole thing and just strangled it with the storyline from Neva Pornographic Cinema, into which I was inducted as a hostage, as a child, and said, oh, you should buy water for the people of Nigeria. Well, everybody knows that the UN is a good place to address concerns because they do things like that. And I do my research and have books of research. If I was to make a decision for a charitable contribution, nobody would know but me and the charity. I would choose wisely. Seattle is not a wise choice. Don't ask me for public relations for that. But if you look at all of this, you will see that there's no danger of that. No money has been deposited in my savings account. No money has been given to me. If it does, I told you what would happen. And normally, under circumstances like this, it would. But there isn't anything like that here. That's not what I'm doing. I'm protecting a little boy named Jimmy Curry from a deviant named Robert Fripp. That's what all of this is. Okay? It's not a fourth dimensional enterprise. It's Section 8. It's in Tacoma. It used to be in Pittsburgh. It's my effects. It's my life work, which they have taken from me and destroyed twice. Because the croquet Ragusa Corona refuses to believe that somebody can be brainwashed by neurological implant from out of state prison psychiatry into shutting their mouth in fear of death while hiding in a towel closet. She refuses to believe that because she knows it's true. And she's telling everybody around here, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true.